Namaskar. How are you? Good. Namaste. This is the beginning of our course on postgraduate studies, and these are the papers now that we will be doing practical work. And in the practical also, it is very important to understand what you are going to do, and at the mature level of masters you will definitely have to know and understand the philosophy behind the dance style that you are going to go deep into. So, before we go to varieties of Allaripus and Jatiswarams and so on and so forth, let us try to discuss today what it is that makes Bharatanatyam and how it should be learned, how it should be projected and go further. So, as you know, the art of learning Bharatanatyam is a journey traversed on a special path. The word margam means a way. So, Bharatanatyam teaching, learning and performances comprise of a number of items performed in certain order. Here we quote immortal words of the great artist and musician, the famous, the Queen of Abhinaya. Who it is? Yes, Bala Saraswati. Her outline of Bharatanatyam margam, the path, given in her article has inspired generations of dancers who follow this profession. It is this article which is guided to study, to do research on dance and music both. She says, this is into inverted commas, in the beginning, Allaripu, which is based on rhythm alone, brings out the special charm of the pure dance. The movements of Allaripu relax the dancer's body and thereby her mind. It loosens and coordinates her limbs and prepare for dance. Rhythm has a rare capacity to concentrate. Allaripu is most valuable in freeing the dancer from any distraction and making her mind single-minded. The joy of pure rhythm of Allaripu is followed by Jatiswaram, where there is added joy of melody. Melody without words or syllable has a special power to unite us with our being. In Jatiswaram, melody and movement come together. Then comes Shabdam. It is here that the composition with words and meaning, which enable the expression of the myriad moods of Bharatanatyam, are introduced the first time. She says the Bharatanatyam recital is structured like a great temple. We enter through the Gopuram, the outer hall of Allaripu, cross the Ardhamandapa halfway hall of Jatiswaram, then the Mandapa, the great hall of Shabdam, and enter the holy precincts of the deity in Varnam. This is the place, the space which gives the dancer expansive scope to revel in the rhythm, moods and music of the dance. The Varnam is the continuum which gives ever expanding room to the dancer to delight in herself, a fulfillment by providing the fullest scope to her own creativity as well as to the tradition of the arts. Then what comes is the Padam. Padam follow. In dancing to the Padams, one experiences the containment, cool and quiet, of entering the sanctum from its external precinct. The expanse and brilliance of outer corridors disappear, and the dark inner sanctum and the rhythmic virtuosity of the Varnam yielded to the soul stirring music, to the Abhinaya of Padam. Dancing to the Padam is akin to a juncture where the cascading lights of worship are withdrawn and the drum beats die down to the simple and solemn chanting of the sacred verses in the closeness of the God. Then the Tillana breaks into, in between there is Kirtanam, Ashtapadi, all adding to the quality that is built by the Padams. In the end comes the Tillana, which breaks into movement like the fire and final burning of camphor, accompanied by a measure of din and bustle. In conclusion, the devotee takes to his heart the God he has so far glorified outside, and the dancer completes the traditional order by dancing to a simple devotional word. This is how the Margam progresses, and this is how the dancer is trained from day one to follow this path. Each time this journey is taken, it leads you further and further and further in the closeness to the God. At first, meter in Allaripu, then melody and meter in Jatiswaram, continuing with music, meaning and meter, its expansion in the centerpiece of the Varnam. Thereafter, music and meaning without meter may be in Padam. In variation of this melody and meter, in contrast to the pure rhythmical beginning, a non-metrical song at the end in Tillana, we see a most wonderful and powerful completeness and symmetry in this art. To train the dancer in this art, melody and meter join together in Jatiswaram. The dancer takes leave of her subjective consciousness in the Allaripu and identifies herself with the universal consciousness in the Jatiswaram. Hereafter, she is ready to explore and express the infinity varied nuances of the entire gamut of emotions and feelings, not in terms of her subjective self, but in terms which bring out their universal essence. Refined in the crucible of Allaripu and Jatiswaram, the dancer portrays the emotions of the musical texts in the Shabdam in their pristine glory and purity. In the Shabdam, emotions are withheld at the beginning. Thereafter, when the dancer can clarify herself, they are released in a measured and disciplined manner. It is after mastering this discipline she dances the Varnam, which is a living river that holds together movement and interpretation. It is after passing through his ordeal of fire that the dancer fully qualifies himself and herself to do Abhinaya for the Padams. So, as you see, this applies to performance, it equally applies to the process of training. The mind and the body gets trained to concentrate from Adavus, then to Allaripu, then to Jatiswaram. The progression of learning slowly prepares the mind to concentrate and body to take more and more challenges in terms of endurance and stamina, and correctness. Now we go further, and what is the feeling that a Bharatanatyam dancer gets and once he or she starts learning. So, Shringar as we experience in Bharatanatyam is never carnal, never, never. For those who have yielded themselves to its discipline with total dedication, dance and music is the practice of the presence. Cannot be merely a body rapture. The dancer who dissolves her identity in the rhythm and music makes her body an instrument, at least for the duration of the dance, for the experience and expression of the spirit. However, the experience of the art can be total only and only if a variety of moods and feelings are portrayed, and variety is the soul of art. But this feeling should be universalized into aspects of divinity and not to remain the limited experience of an insignificant human being. The moods of a song may tend to get portrayed as the subjective feeling of one individual, but the true art lies in universalizing this experience. During the times of Tanjore Quartet, dance concert was started only after performing certain ritualistic actions such as playing drums on the stage. The practice was called Mela Prapti, and singing Todaya Mangalam songs which were believed to be of benedictory and purifying effect. In our days, these practices are not either followed or followed in some different way. The good example is Todaya Mangal, which became a dance itself, and it is an item itself, and it is performed now as invocatory items in some schools of Bharatanatyam. Same thing also applies to Mela Prapti. So, Todaya Mangalam and Mela Prapti, they are invocatory items. In Vaduvur's style, it is used as the first item in praise of Lord Jnana Sabeshwar of Vaduvur. Also, it was used in Bhagavata Mela Natakam. Usually, it is in praise of Vishnu and his incarnations. Todaya Mangalam is accompanied by Mela Prapti. The Natuvanar vocalist, and at times wherever there is an orchestra available of flute, mridangam, kanjira, ghatam, they also sing, they sing Om beside playing. Singing of the set of 5 Todaya Mangalam songs prior to the start of solo Sadhya recital was still in vogue in the early decades of this century. T. Shankaran, cousin of Bala Saraswati, wrote an article in the Tanjore Quartet in the Hindu of March 2nd, 1970. He says, the Mela Prapti from behind the curtain consisted of Kanakkol to the accompaniment of the Natuvanar cymbals and the clang of the Mridangam, all in the Khanda Nadai. This convention used to be a wonderful preliminary, thus building up the proper atmosphere for a dance recital. The curtain rose only after the Todaya Mangalam in Nattai Ragam heralded the dancer. Kanakkol is the art of vocalizing rhythmic syllables, sholakatus, in a proper manner. I remember that my guru, late Srimati Anjali Meher, created a Mela Prapti in the scheme of dance developed by the Tanjore Quartet. The Mela Prapti was indeed obligatory as an overture. T. Balasaraswati mentioned the practice of Mela Prapti, which included the singing of the Todaya Mangalam, in the exclusive interviews that she gave to Shruti editors prior to her demise. In her presidential address at the Tamil ISAI conference in 1975, she omitted reference to the Mela Prapti and Todaya Mangalam, probably because the Todaya Mangalam is a prelude to and not a part of dance recital, but more probably because the practice of Mela Prapti and Todaya Mangalam had been discontinued years earlier. The person who reportedly had taken the initiative to do so was Guru Kandappa Pillai, the Guru of Bala Saraswati. If Mela Prapti with the complementary Todaya Mangalam rendered as an overture from behind the curtain prior to the start of a dance event is no longer in vogue, some dancers present a Todaya Mangalam as the first choreographed item of their recitals. Dancers trained by the late Managudi Dorai Raja Iyer and Adiyar Lakshman do so, for example. What they offer and however are abridged versions of the Todaya Mangalam, evidently because it would be time consuming to dance all of the 70 lines of the original 5 songs. So, the most practiced today Todaya Mangal is the most famous one is Jaya Janaki Ramana. Dancers of the Vaduvur school also present a Todaya Mangalam, but this piece is a creation of the great 19th century Nattuvanar who hailed from Vaduvur, but was well known as Tanjavur Swaminathan. It starts with the words Jayasu Bhru Puvirasa Jaya Mahajana Sameta in Nattai. In its last line, it contains the mudra of the composer, which is Bhakta Swaminathan. Swaminathan was the great grandfather of Vaduvur Ramaya Pillai. Ramaya Pillai claims he has composed many Mela Prapti Jatis. Many dancers have replaced the erstwhile Mela Prapti and Todaya Mangalam with the rendering of the invocatory verses or songs prior to the entrance of the dancer. Some sing Mahaganapati in Nattai, composed by Muthuswami Dikshitar, or Vapati Ganapatim in Hamsadvani, or Vinaya Akka Ninnu Vina in Hamsadvani, composed by Kothavasal Venkataram Iyer. In olden days, each performance was started with Mela Prapti, but since at least 1970s and perhaps earlier, some choreographers and gurus have used the Mela Prapti syllables for dance composition. At times, it is danced in the place of Allaripu. S. Sharda, teacher of Kalakshetra, observes that Pushpanjali, Kautvam, Todaya Mangal are all original pieces, but they origin from music, and so they do not belong to the original Bharatnatyam repertoire. If these items are performed, they should be kept simple. One of the other prevalent items today and performed by some artists is Pushpanjali. Pushpanjali, as the words mean, is offering Anjali of flowers, Pushpa, to the 8 directions and the Ranga Devata. This dance composition is often seen at the very beginning of the Bharatanatyam concert and at times joined with Allaripu. In the Chola period, Pushpanjali was performed during procession of the idols and during the festivals as convocation. Dancers were standing and facing main deity in temple or went around the temple in Pradakshina and carried flowers. Pushpanjali was performed with or after Kumbha Arati ceremony as preventive and propitiatory item as part of the Devadasi service at the temples. Agam Ragam refers to agams, where offering of flowers is mentioned as part of the ritualistic worship. So, the Pushpanjalis performed today are set to different jatis and tala to join with the Allaripu. Now, as we go further, we start with the item Allaripu. The word Allaripu means a flowering bud or blooming. Root Allaru may be found in Telugu, Tamil and other Dravidian languages. Alar means flower and Illipu means bringing down the offering. So, Allaripu is a verbal noun derived from the word Allarinchu in Tamil and other Dravidian language. KCT, the P after nasal becomes GJDD, the B and the Telugu Allarimpu will usually be pronounced as Allarinbu. Allaru is a Dravidian word, and in most Dravidian languages the verbal form means to blossom. Thus, Allaripu literally means flowering, that is opening of the body and limbs to get prepared to execute more difficult pieces that to be taken up subsequently. Allaripu means blossoming of body and mind and is also known as Allarisu. Allaripu is the shortest and the simplest item of Bharatnatyam repertoire, that is the Margam. The Allaripu is traditionally first dance piece that Bharatnatyam dancers learn and perform. It is an invocation piece symbolizing the offering of respect to both God and the audience. Allaripu is short nritta item. It is an invocatory piece, meaning it is performed before a dancer begins the whole performance. It is considered to be a warm-up piece for the dancers. The purpose of Allaripu is paying obeisance or salutation to the God, to the Guru, the intellect and the audience, Devata, Guru, Vipranam. In this invocatory piece, the dancer pays her obeisance to gods, the Guru and the assembly of the onlookers. This nritta item symbolizes offering prayer to the God on the stage and salutation to the preceptors and elders. It opens the solo dance performance and also opens the body for the dance. The limbs are warmed up by simple movements. The mind is focused by precise rhythm and emotions are activated by harmony and beauty of the traditional choreography and of course the inner joy of dance. It is so dear to each dancer. Allaripu conveys happiness. Nanandati anena devata iti nandi. That which makes the devas happy is Nandi. Hence, Allaripu is like the Nandi shloka. The mythological conception of the opening movements of Allaripu are such that the dancer's body or any body consists of two parts, the male and the female, traditionally known male to the right and female to the left, and again Tandava and Lasya. This is represented when joining the planes high over the head, thus allowing the spirit of God to enter the body. Different Natyacharyas have given different origins for this word Allaripu. The treatise Shraddha Nandu Prakasha and Bharata Sangraha mentioned the word Allari but do not describe the word. Some scholars say that it suggests opening of the dancer's soul like the blossoming of a flowers. Some teachers say that the patterns of Allaripu is like a tree representing the roots, the stem and the flowers. Some people and scholars say that Allaripu is a prayer to the Holy Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Some say that this Allaripu, which starts from the head movements and end with the feet, is dedication of the whole body through the dance movements to the Almighty. According to Bala Saraswati, Allaripu is based on rhythm alone, brings out the special charm of pure dance. The movements of Allaripu relax the dancer's mind and thereby her body, loosen and coordinate her limbs and prepare her for the dance. Rhythm has rare capacity to invoke concentration. Allaripu is most valuable in freeing the dancer from distraction and making her single-minded. Her comments highlight that even a seasoned dancer requires to focus her attention at the beginning. The well-known hereditary dancer Yamini Krishnamurthy agrees, I like to start with an Allaripu as it is a traditional warm-up for the eyes, the neck and the arm. I like the concept of Allaripu. Allaripu is taught after learning the Adavus. After a strong base in Adavus training, the dancer is ready for short, swift but strong dance composition. Normally, in the beginning, the Tishra Jati Ekatal Allaripu is taught by the teacher. Dancers usually studied at least 2 to 3 Allaripus, in which there are slight variation of movements and postures depending on the tala. The Allaripu begins with eye movements and attami or neck movements. It begins with eye movements and then, as eyes are very important elements of communication, a direct communication to people is established. To communicate, people need to keep eye contact. Thus, the dancer establishes her first direct contact with the audience through eyes. The Allaripu movements begin with eyes joined by neck and the shoulder, then move progressively downwards. So, the eyes, neck and shoulder movements are followed by Mandi Adavu in the second half and later culminates with vibrant footwork in the Tirmanam Adavu. Allaripu is first done in Sambhangi, then Araimandi, then Purnamandi and with intricate Adavus. It ends with a Tirmanam. Allaripu belongs to the Dhritta category. It is usually of a duration of 4 to 5 minutes at the max. It exercises the whole body from head to the toe. This is essentially a dance dedicating each part of the body before commencing the actual program. The first set of movements in Allaripu is done in Samapada. Dancer points to different sides as if indicating the space around and including the space itself into dance or inviting guardians of the 9 directions to participate and protect the stage. Then the dancer raises hands from Natya Rambha position up with Anjali as if addressing the heavens. It opens in again in Natya Rambha and as if holding flow of the heavenly Ganga. Second set of Adavis performed in Mulumandi. Dancer lowers down to the earth after salutation series of Adavus are performed. As an artist draws a sketch of hieroglyphs using his brush, the dancer fills the space with dance movements in increasing tempo. Message of pure Nritta is beauty. Beauty enters the stage in final sequence of fast and precise Adavus. Dancer retreats back as is bowing to the audience for attention. Hands are flying from up to downwards, culminating in a flourish. Allaripu can be performed in different talas and jatis. Traditionally, the most done Allaripu is in Tishra Ek Tala. Others are Mishra Chapu and Chatushra Ek Talam Allaripu. Allaripu is also done in 5 jatis, Tishra, Chatushra, Khanda, Mishra and Sankirnam. Depending on the choice and expertise of the Guru, all tala and jati combinations can be used in Allaripu. Allaripu done in such a manner will differ in steps and talam, but keeping the 3-tier structure constant and not losing its purpose. Since this is dedicatory item, it has to be simple, setting the stage for the more complicated dance to follow. As we go ahead, we also look into the technical side. So, the dance is accompanied by, accompaniment is provided by Natuvana, the guru, the teacher, and a mridangam drummer plays along with maybe other musicians. The act is entirely based on rhythm and is focused on relaxing the body and mind of the dancer, thereby relaxing her mind and symbolizing her awakening. The Allaripu is done at the beginning of the performance and is done in 3 tempos. The simple and exact rhythm of Allaripu adjusts flow of time to the tempo of the dance. Some believe that the rhythm synchronizes heartbeats of the dancer, musicians and spectators. The Allaripu, which is the first stage of the dance, is not generally accompanied by lot of other music, but is danced to the accompaniment of Sholakattu. Allaripu is the quite essence of Bharatnatyam technique, having correct posture, movements of the eyes and neck, shoulder bands, walks, fundamental footwork and thorough knowledge of the first, second and third speeds of rhythm, that is the Vilambit, Madhya and Dhruta. Allaripu prepares the body for the later items to be performed by the dancer. There is a belief that if this dance is not performed at the beginning, a proper atmosphere for Bharatnatyam recital is not created on the stage. But, well, in the present context and present times, so most of the times this is not the case and it has its own implications. So, as you understand, Allaripu is a short piece with simple poses and movements in equally simple tune and rhythm. It is a piece of 3 to 5 minute duration and is preceded by a shloka or a verse or Pushpanjali. Allaripu is valuable in freeing the dancer from distraction and making him or her single-mindedness. In Allaripu, which is based on rhythm, tal alone, the dancer takes leave of her subjective consciousness and identifies herself with the universal consciousness. This is how the stage of either learning or performance is set for an individual learner. Next, that after Allaripu comes, after this stage comes is Jatiswaram. Jatiswaram follows Allaripu in the Margam. This is again a pure nritta item set to a tune, that is raga, in a particular rhythm in tala, a melody. Jatiswaram includes jati, that is the sholakatus, and swaras, which are the notations. Pallavi, Anupallavi and 1 or 2 or 3 more charanas is the structure. There is no any sahityam passages present. The whole composition is sung using swaras. Hence, the adavus are performed to swara patterns. Thus, Jatiswaram could be identified as a musical composition without sahitya, which melody progressively becomes more complex in sense of rhythm. The meaning of nritta, pure dance, is using the God given body and limbs. We create as many forms of beauty as possible through flow of poses and movements connected together by rhythm and music. Beauty and inner joy of dance is the only meaning of nritta. It does not have any particular mood or sentiment. and it produces aesthetic pleasure. Jatiswaram brings out three aspects of dance: unity of music, rhythm and movement. Ragam and talam are the major aspects of Jatiswaram. A raga can be understood as special musical space where certain patterns of swara or tunes live in. Rag has its own mood. It guides flow of melody as channel guides the river. Talam and kalam, tempo, gives feeling of time. They make melody move on, define how fast it should flow. Besides general talam, rhythm and kalam of the music composition, which are constant, each dance adavu has its own rhythmic pattern. Sequences of adavus are fittingly set inside an avartan, that is the rhythmic cycle. Jatiswaram has a structure. It has the usual three sections: the pallavi, anupallavi and charnams. Though the charnams were originally intended to be sung with the jatis, the present day Jatiswarams have no jatis or lyrics but only swaras, opening in one jati, that is the korvai. The emphasis here is on the rhythmic patterns. Jatiswarams includes one jati, adavu set to solakattu without any music, and several korvais set to the swaras. It begins with the brisk and fast jati. The jati at times is preceded by Mai Adavu set to the Pallavi. Mai Adavu is very characteristic for Jatiswaram. It comprises mandatory body bends and rotations formed along with the steps when the dancer is moving to the right and left sides at first and then backwards or to the diagonals. The choreographers have put Mai Adavu before Jati. At the end of Jati, after the Pallavi, Anupallavi are joined, Korvai, and after the last Swara, simple but very typical Mai Adavu are put as joining flourishes. They are very special and typical to Jatiswaram and are not seen any other item of the Margam. After the Mai Adavu and Jati, or only Jati, 2 or 3 Korvais are set to Pallavi are executed. The next one is a Korvai set to Pallavi in combination with Anupallavi, and then follows several Korvais set to the Charana Swaras. So, as we have seen the different items that are considered the opening items in Bharatanatyam, the main being Allaripu, but one can do Pushpanjali, Todaya Mangalam, Kautuvam and maybe Mallari. So, these are all different opening items, some of them traditionally done, some of them added to the tradition and some of them created in the contemporary times. What follows these opening items is the Jatiswaram, and to summarize it, I could say that to some, Jatiswaram reminds of a mountain, river, and streams of melodies appear here and there, divided by stones of rhythmic patterns spread all along the main canal of the ragam, bending gently to and fro, following the shape of the mountain. Jatiswaram is a dance item that helps in developing rhythmic stability to the core. Highly enlightening and entertaining, Jatiswaram can also serve as a perfect choreographic tool. It is so much often used by the choreographers. The message of Jatiswaram is beauty. It is pure nritya, thus anga shuddha, proper posture and movements in combination with flow of melody and rhythm should evoke a sense of harmony and joy of dance in the heart of the dancer and the spectators. The Tanjore quartet compositions, which are widely performed, are some famous Jatiswaram composition that the dancers are using is Ragam Vasanta Tal Rupakam, Ragam Kalyani Tal Rupakam, Ragam Bhairavi Tal Rupakam, Ragam Saveri Tal Rupakam, Ragamaliga with Mishra Chapu Tala, Vachaspati written by Vachaspati in Vachaspati Raga with Rupaka Tala, and Chakravaka Jatiswaram in Rupaka Tala by Dandayutpani Pillai. So, these are some of the very famous Jatiswarams, and we now will go ahead of learning Allaripu, Jatiswaram, Pushpanjali and such. So, be prepared and come with a more sensibility for learning Allaripu next time. Thank you.